So let's talk about one of the biggest and honestly most frustrating questions for so many people of faith. Why? Why does it feel so hard to hear God?
You know that feeling, right? That sense that there's something you're supposed to do, a quiet little nudge inside, but you just can't quite get a clear signal on it. You pray and ask for guidance, but all you seem to get back is silence. It's enough to make anyone feel a little confused and maybe even start to doubt.
But what if we've been looking at this all wrong? What if the problem isn't that God is silent, but that our receiver is a little out of tune? The big idea we're exploring today is that God is always speaking, but the part of us that's actually designed to hear him, our spirit, well, it often hasn't been trained to recognize the frequency.
And this verse right here really gets to the heart of it. Jesus doesn't say, some of my sheep, or, the really spiritual ones hear his voice. Nope. He makes a simple, powerful statement. My sheep hear my voice. What that tells us is that hearing him isn't some rare, special gift for just a few people. It's supposed to be our natural state as believers.
Okay, so let's get into the how of all of this. To really understand why we miss God's voice, we have to get a handle on this internal conflict that's going on inside of us all the time. See, there are two very different voices competing for your attention, the voice of your mind and the voice of your spirit.
The Bible has this fascinating term for our spirit, the hidden man of the heart. This is the real you. It's the part of you that is spiritually reborn and is designed for a direct line of communication with God, who is spirit. It's called hidden because it operates beneath the surface of our five senses, right at the very core of who we are.
And look at how different these two voices are when you put them side by side. On one side, you've got your mind, your reason. It's loud, it loves to argue, and it panics. It only trusts what it can see, measure, and calculate. And what does it want most? Security. But then you have your spirit, your intuition. It's the total opposite. It's quiet, it's calm. It doesn't need to argue, it just knows. It senses truth through what we call an inward witness, and its main driver is simply obedience to God. A great way to think about your mind is like a busy, noisy construction site. We spend our entire lives training it to analyze, to question, to demand proof. And in our world today, that construction site is louder than it's ever been, with all the notifications and the constant flood of information. All that noise, the jackhammers of doubt, the power drills of overanalysis, it just completely drowns out the quiet, still whisper of your spirit.
So how does the spirit actually speak then?
You can think of it as an inward monitor. It's the voice of your renewed conscience. There's a proverb that says, "The spirit of man is the candle of the Lord." See, God doesn't usually just drop a detailed spreadsheet into your brain. Instead, he lights this candle, your spirit, and that light then illuminates your path from the inside out. It's that quiet check, or that subtle green light you feel deep down.
So this is the big question, right? If our spirit is the receiver, how do we crank up its sensitivity? How do we calibrate it so it can finally tune in to God's frequency? Well, this is exactly where the practice of biblical meditation comes in, and it's a total game changer.
Now, it is so important that we get this right. When we talk about biblical meditation, we're not talking about emptying your mind of all thought. It's actually the exact opposite. It's about filling your spirit so full of God's word that it literally starts to crowd out all the noise from your mind, until his way of thinking starts to become your own natural way of thinking. Now, here's where it gets super practical. Think of this as a simple, 3-step training routine for your spirit. First, meditate on the word. Don't just read it. Let it sink past your brain until it becomes a real revelation in your heart. Second, practice instant obedience. The moment you get one of those small nudges from your inward monitor, act on it. Don't second-guess it. This keeps your spirit sharp. And third, pray in the spirit. This is like a direct workout for that hidden man, building its strength and making it more sensitive.
And when you do this consistently, the results are, they're profound. It's not magic, it's calibration. God's voice, which was there all along, starts to become crystal clear. Your ability to tell the difference between your own thoughts and his leading becomes razor sharp. And your obedience gets faster, which creates this amazing cycle of hearing and then doing. You are literally getting calibrated to heaven's frequency.
So we have the training method, but now we need to talk about creating the right environment for that training to work. And that environment, in a word, is stillness. We have to intentionally position ourselves to be able to perceive.
This famous verse has the key. Just notice the order here. The instruction is to be still, and the result of that stillness is that you will know. The knowing doesn't happen in the middle of all the noise. It comes after the quiet. This shows us that stillness is not about being lazy or just doing nothing. It's an active, intentional decision. It is the spiritual discipline of purposefully shutting down that noisy construction site in your mind, of silencing all the external chaos so that you can finally perceive the whispers that were there the whole time.
So, what's the end game in all of this? What's the payoff? It leads to this incredible transformation in how you navigate your life. You move from a place of constant guesswork to a place of confident guidance. Before you start this training, life is so often marked by that constant, nagging confusion. Is this me? Is this God? What am I supposed to do? But afterwards, that confusion just gives way to this deep sense of clarity, because you're starting to confidently recognize the voice of your shepherd.
And before, making those big decisions is so often driven by fear, right? The fear of getting it wrong, the fear of missing out on God's will.
But after, that fear is replaced by this quiet, solid confidence, a peace that kind of acts like an umpire in your heart, letting you know when you're on the right track.
So if there's one thing, one core idea to take away from our time together today, it is this. The goal was never to try and make God shout. The goal has always been to train our own spirit to become sharp enough to hear his whisper.
Think about it. The guidance system is already installed. God's word is there for you. That inward monitor is active. Your spirit is speaking. So the only real question left is, are you ready to quiet the noise and finally listen?